What's up, guys? This is Matt with Flagstaff Camera, and welcome to another old news segment. We talk about photography stuff that I have found crawling the internet. We'll start with just the cool things that are out there, and this one I don't think is a cool thing. So again, Petapixel, because it's my homepage and that's where I start. I saw this, a week ago. Historic glass plate photos sold as NFTs and the buyer is told to smash the originals. That's just rude. Okay, glass plate photos, right? They're the OG, ambrotype, whatever. And someone is digitizing them or something, and you sell it as an NFT, a non-fungible token. Google that. I'm not going to explain it to you because I barely understand it. Honestly, it's not my jam. And you get the negative and you get the NFT, which is like I don't even know. And then they say, but you could, if you buy the NFT, you get the plate with it and then you could smash it, which would then make the NFT the only tangible, non-fungible part of the sale. What is wrong with people? Like, why would you take beautiful artwork and then digitize it and make it a digital thing and then use that as an excuse to smash it and ruin it? Like, don't smash things. Don't take beautiful old photographs and then ruin them. Like, negatives were shot between 1910 and 1920. Leave them alone. They're gorgeous. Don't NFTize them. Just put them up in your house. Ugh. Anyway, that one drives me a little nuts. NFTs, if you're into them, good for you. That's totally cool. But why would you take a physical thing that's already beautiful art that you can hold in your hands or put on your wall and then make it into an NFT and then ruin the physical thing? That one's beyond me. Opposite direction of that, Vivian Meyer. If you have heard about Vivian Meyer, you obviously have not been living under a rock. Badass photographer who got essentially no credit for anything while she was alive, right? Just shot and shot and shot and shot and shot. And her work is incredible across a variety of cameras, gears, whatever. Well, this lady here, finally put together Anne Marks. She built a book. She wrote a book, and it goes like super in depth, from what I can tell, through the archives, through Vivian's life. And I mean, being able to see the photography in a book, super cool. But any story behind this, I think, is definitely worth grabbing. And she's got audio files of someone being interviewed, like there's tapes. So cool. So in addition to watching all these crazy videos about this book and everything that goes into it, I'm for sure going to be picking up a copy of this book. Vivian Meyer developed Untold Story of the Photographer Nanny. I don't know, I just find it sort of fascinating and inspiring that someone can just shoot their whole life for the fun of shooting, for the enjoyment of just doing that, not expecting to make a living at it or to have it be a side hustle or just doing it for the love of it. And so I've always been drawn to Vivian's work ever since it sort of came out into the world. And I'm going to definitely grab this book. I'm not even a photo book guy. Not like some people. Like Ted Forbes is a photo book collector / hoarder. I love you, Ted. But I buy very rarely will I buy a photo book. And I'm definitely going to get this one. So links for all of these news-related things go in the link place where links are. And then you can go click on them and find out stuff. Okay, next thing. Somebody, what's his name? Jace. This guy is incredible. Managed to put a 35mm Olympus point and shoot onto an FPV drone and then flew it around and was able to trigger the film camera from his controller for the drone and shot Velvia 100, it looks like, of all things, which is like baller, because that film is the forbidden film stock now, right? The pictures came up really cool, but the process, he shows you like him designing and then 3D printing the thing that he then uses to mount onto his drone, that he then like wires up with all the wire things. I'm not a drone guy, but super cool. I'm not sure I 100% understand it, other than like, because you can. You know, shooting film from a drone, I mean, that's not something people do, so maybe you just do it because you can. That's super cool. Like, I'm sure the files that you can get off of an FPV drone look nothing like Velvia 100, so maybe you just want to do it because you can. I don't know. It was really cool. The photos that he puts together turn out really fun. Yeah, it is Velvia 100. Puts a roll of 36 in this camera and sends it up into the sky. And then, amazingly, has the slides mounted, which is, who does that anymore? And he's got himself a slide projector, and he shows them up on the, oh my god. This guy's amazing. Jace, good for you, dude. That shit's cool. I love that. Also, we should, somebody should start like slide projector viewing parties again. We should make that be a thing. We can all go shoot slides on our vacation and then bore each other to death by showing color slides that weren't shot from a drone, because these are just too cool. Anyway, so that was a fun thing that I saw on the internet. Super into that, and because it's cool, I'll subscribe, because that's what you do for YouTube channels you like. Just saying. Okay, f-stoppers. Here's why I almost always ignore my light meter. I will click on any link that says I ignore my light meter, because I am a light meter non-believer, and I ignore my light meter almost all the time, often to my own detriment. But I kind of figured, like, all these cool cameras in the world don't have a meter on them. And so, you know, Hasselblads, point and shoots, disposables. So why would I need a meter? Anyway, so, but this guy's cool. He's talking about eyeballing it, and he's talking about learning to understand what your meter is saying and how to work your way around it. One of the things I recommend photographers do, especially starting photographers, is you find yourself in a scene, right? And learn to guess the correct exposure. So I'm sitting here in a studio, we've got a reasonable amount of light here. I should be able to sit here and say, okay, ISO 800, f2.8 at 1/25th of a second, and be close. And you should be able to just do that. So what I used to do is I'd walk around with my digital camera and, you know, be hanging out with my buddies, hanging out with Taylor, hanging out with, you know, whatever. And you just say, okay, everybody guess. And everybody would rattle off their guess as to the current exposure. And whoever got closest won. Bragging rights for that. I mean, you don't win anything, but it teaches you to be like, okay, yeah, ISO 400, f8, this is going to be 1/4 of a second, you know, or whatever it's going to be. And that lets you learn how your meter's lying to you. Because if you then take out your camera and take that picture at those settings and go, ooh, I was really off, that was terrible. Or you learn that, oh, that is what the meter reads, but it's actually metering off of the big key light over here instead of my face, or instead of whatever it is the subject is. So anyway, that's always a fun game, just guessing them. Eventually we'll get back into doing things like photo walks here in Flagstaff. I've seen photo walks kind of like trickling back into the world again, which I think is really exciting after all the COVID shenanigans for the last 2 years, which it has been almost 2 years now, which is, I can't even fathom that. Anyway, non sequitur, as I just sort of wander off chasing a butterfly. When we do photo walks again, we will be doing them. We'll be hosting them here in Flagstaff. I'm excited to do that, and that will be one of the things that we do, is you're wandering around town with a group of photographers and somebody just yells, guess! And we see who wins. I don't know, it's fun. Anyway, so don't believe your light meter. This is another video. This one's by Ouse. And this is interesting because he's talking about, and it is mostly like him talking, but you also get to see him shooting and wandering around in the frozen world that he lives in. Not about how to do photography, but about why you do photography, what it is that you're attracted to, what the purpose is for you, if it's all about making money. You know, kind of ties back to the Vivian Meyer thing. Like, if you were never, ever, ever going to make any money, would you still do photography? And if you were going to do that, what would you be photographing if it wasn't for money, if it wasn't for a side hustle, if it wasn't to land a gig or a sponsor or a promotion, or like, what would you shoot? And that's the kind of thing that really interests me. You know, we deal with a lot of hobbyists. Amateurs is a word. And I learned from back in the day that, who was it? It was David Duchemin who would always talk about, you know, amateurs do it for the love of the craft, right? You're doing it not because you're getting paid, but because it's fun, because you love it, because you enjoy it, because you have to do it. But it's not going to be your sole source of income, or maybe a source of income at all. And I like doing something like this for the love of the craft, for just being able to experience it and take pictures and have fun and not worry about it. You know, you take it maybe less seriously when you can just do that. And so this video is lovely, and I recommend you check it out, because it's, you know, let's step away from the gear reviews and the gear acquisition syndrome and the side hustle and the selling, and just take pictures because we enjoy it and because we can and because it's fun. I've been doing more of that recently, and I recommend you do the same thing as well. Anyway, that was the news, and from here, let's go on an adventure to Sycamore Falls, where I shot some of my first 8x10 of the year, hanging out with my buddy Andy Orr. So let's go do that. Hello and welcome to another episode of Adventure Time, where we adventure through time. I'm back in the car, as you may be able to tell as an astute observer. It's snowing this morning, which is gorgeous in Flagstaff, and I didn't feel like being penned up all day, so I've loaded up my 8x10 kit, which is finally complete, and we're gonna go test things out and see how it goes. We've got about maybe an hour left of this snowstorm before it's supposed to kind of like blow itself out a little bit, which should be great timing because we're driving about an hour away from town. And we'll see how this goes, I guess. We're going to Sycamore Falls, which is a seasonal waterfall. I say we because I have a companion today. My buddy Andy is driving behind me. He's a large format shooter, a 4x5 guy, as well as digital and whatever. Cool dude. And so I've got him on comms here, and we're gonna drive for an hour and go check out what's going on in Sycamore Falls. And hopefully I'll be able to expose a few sheets of 8x10 film, which will actually be my first ever 8x10 film experience. I tested out these film holders because they're really old, and made sure that they were mostly light tight using paper back in the day. And I actually made a portrait of Andy on paper, and now we're going for it. So we'll see. It's been a while since this truck has been off-road. I used to do it all the time. I used to be out in the forest, in the boonies. Winter, summer, didn't matter. And somehow it's easy to get caught up in the everyday, you know, just living life, going to work, going home, going to work, going home. So that's why this series sort of exists, paired with the fact that I'm trying to take up 8x10 photography for the first time. I've also just felt like it's time to get back out and do the photo adventure stuff that I used to do. You know, every weekend or every afternoon I used to be out chasing down some new photo. And so that's hopefully going to be mostly the name of the game. You know, try and take a Saturday or a Sunday and get out and about. And then, you know, because balance is important, take the other day of the weekend and maybe just chill. You know, sitting around the house, reading books, playing with the dog, playing video games, whatever. But that's all. It's good to have that balance. And it's also good to have people to go shoot with, you know? It's funny, my buddy Andy here, he texted me this morning.
Okay, so 210 millimeters is actually 8.27 inches, so I'm well above average, so I should be good.
I don't even know what to say to that. I think we're just gonna leave this uncut, and you can just experience the experience with my experiencing it. Anyway, so Andy texted me this morning. You know, I was laying in bed like, do I get up and go to the gym and get out of the house and go on a photo adventure, or do I laze around all day? And about halfway through my workout, I decided it was either going to be Sycamore Canyon or the south rim of the Grand Canyon again. And Andy texts me. He's like, "What's going on? What are we doing today? You working? Or are you off?" And I was like, "I'm off. I'm packing up the 8x10 and I'm going somewhere. Where should we go?" And we decided that it's been a while since either of us have been to Sycamore. And I checked, this is a neat feature, I checked Instagram at the location of Sycamore Falls using the most recent posts as a filter, and saw that they actually had pretty good flow in this waterfall 2 days ago. Or at least that was when the photos were posted 2 days ago by a group of people that had gone. So if that's the case, we stand some sort of chance, given that it's currently snowing, of having some sort of water. Because a waterfall without water is not really that interesting, but a waterfall with water and clouds and snow, like a little bit of atmospherics, I'm super into that. So we decided Sycamore Falls was the answer. It's also a little closer to town by like, I don't know, half an hour or something. So that makes that easy. Now that we're out of the sketchy part of the trail, everybody say hi to Andy.
Howdy.
Hi, Andy. That's what you sound like to me in my head, YouTubers.
Yeah.
So we're almost to Sycamore Falls. It's like right over there. It's not a very long trail. I got my new big dumb 8x10 backpack, which is really just a duffel bag that sort of is a backpack. And I'm not sure if you can hear it. There's a fair amount of wind. And my maximum shutter speed is 1/50th of a second on the shutter that I have for this Kodak lens. Maybe not great for 8x10, because the camera's basically a sail. It wants to blow away, or at least shake around. So we'll see. Ooh, I can hear a waterfall and realize that there's nothing to see from here. There it is, down there. Oh yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's nice.
A little iced over. This is another one of those spots where my mom watches this. Sorry, Mom. But you look good, Andy. Right on the edge, baby. Killing it. So, from behind the camera. Whoosh. Oh, love that. So now we'll try for frame 6. Pull your dark slide. Beautiful. Yeah, no worries, bro. I'm waiting for the light. I'm just gonna wait. You can call me the light waiter. It looks like it's getting close. I need that sun behind that cloud. And for the last 20 minutes, it's been teasing me. So, I'm all set up. Film holder's loaded. They just need the clouds. So we wait. Go on, son. You want to come down here and set up on the corner? Okay. I'm calling it. We give up. It's been 45 minutes or something ridiculous. We've been sitting here waiting for this light to happen, and it's not happened. It's getting harsher. So thanks, Mother Nature. I'm gonna pack up the kit and we're gonna move on now that I've killed half my battery on this GoPro, waiting for the light to do its thing. Oh yeah, I feel good about this. It's so much easier than packing it down, you know? You just leave it on the tripod and wander around with it, sticking over the shoulder back there. no big deal. Got just enough leverage on the tripod. Plus everyone can see how big my camera is. Hiking with cameras. Dorks hiking with cameras.
What I love about it,
It's the best.
digging out in nature.
And you get all the people that are hiking out here with their phones. Like, ooh, what's that? What are you guys doing? Well, we're taking pictures. These are cameras. Ooh, wow. They shoot film. What's that? Yeah, I shouldn't make fun of them. That's not nice. Not everybody knows what film is or what a film camera looks like. It's not their fault. That was very fun and went moderately well. We'll see how the film turns out. That's always whatever the answer, but as far as I can tell, I think it's gonna turn out good. Now we've got an hour-ish drive back to civilization, and I was smart this time, and I left myself some coffee. Let's see how much I hiked during that experience. I've done 3 miles total today. So that was probably, I don't know, a mile and a half, maybe 2. So, I don't know, it's good. Enjoyable. And a spot I'd never been to. And it was gorgeous, and the water was flowing. With waterfalls in northern Arizona, you never really know. Like, you show up to a waterfall here, and it's been dry for ages, and it's going to continue to be dry for an unknown period of time. Or you can show up in the middle of winter, and we got good ice, which is good because it looks good, and good water flow too. So, and we're going to wander off-road for the next, whatever, half an hour, 45 minutes. Go back home, and by then, I expect it'll be about happy hour. So a pretty good way to spend the day. I'm not gonna bother unloading the film until I get back into the shop next week. I think I shot all but 2 of the frames that I brought. Yeah, I think I did. I shot 2 holders of FP4 Plus. One of those holders was a portrait, or 2 portraits of Andy. And the other holder was the waterfall. And then I shot 1 holder of Ortho 80, or maybe 2. So I could look at my notes, but I'm driving, so I'm not going to bother with that. Anyway, back to the real world, onward and upward. That was fun. Sycamore's cool. I'm definitely going to go back out there again when it's maybe a little less cold and a little less icy, and see if I can get a little bit more water flow. There's a kind of a magical time period, like late spring in Flagstaff, but before summer heat really hits, where we can get much better water flow out of some of these waterfalls that we have. We'll also go do Grand Falls. That'll be a really fun one. Anyway, so I've started making prints from that series, and we'll show them at some point in a probably different video. But we're getting there. It's fun. One thing I wanted to touch on before we jump into really FAQs is we started a Discord server for all things analog photography, printmaking, just a place for us photo nerds to sort of hang out and chat. I'm in it like all the time, and there are a couple of other awesome people that have been hanging out in there. There's going to be a link in the description where you can join. It's a public server. Come hang out. And if you want to talk about stuff, you're welcome to. It's also a place where you can submit questions for FAQs, or submit your prints for your What We're Printing videos that we're going to be doing, where I get to show my work and yours. So that's the Discord server. It looks like this. This is the Analog Gear channel where people have been hanging out. This is just a random chat where people have been hanging out. You know, people just talking about everything that there is to talk about, showing off photos, and my internet connection is lagging, so obviously it's not going very fast, but it's fun. So check out the Discord. Might as well. Now, FAQs. back. You lovely people have been commenting lovely things where the comments go and asking questions, which is great. So we're going to just show off a couple of those there. Video that was just published. I did my big dang platinum print. And Bruno here says, why didn't you choose a good photo? Thanks, Bruno. Thanks for participating. It's good to have you. Let's see. What's your opinions on silver gelatin or platinum palladium without a window mount? Ian Hull likes a full bleed frame presentation, but he doesn't like... Yeah, okay. So, taking a silver gelatin and displaying it without a mat board can be done. You can dry mount it, which we would use like a vacuum press generally to mount those because I like the adhesives that a vacuum heat press will use. So that would be Fusion 4000 typically, or rag mount is another good adhesive. That one's got some oomph to it. So you can take your silver gelatin print, mount it to a board straight to the print, stick the frame around that. It's fine. As long as you have a spacer between the face of the print and then the glass, as long as you have airspace between those things, you'll be fine. Platinum palladiums, you can mount them. I just figure, I don't like to. I like the reversibility of having the full print inside of a mat board without having to mount it. And the mat board takes care of keeping it sort of flat so that you don't have to worry about it getting texture or getting wrinkly. And honestly, mounting is where good prints go to die slow, horrible deaths. It's really easy to ruin a print in a mount, and all adhesives fail. I cannot emphasize this enough. Over time, 100 years from now, that adhesive that's sticky today will not be sticky for one reason or another. So, but my mat board's not going to fail. It's fine. There's no sticky. So, yeah, I mean, a sink mount using mat boards, cotton rag, museum grade is my preferred method because it's reversible, because it's sort of considered to be the highest quality, right? In 1,000 years, when your image is been sold, 10 times and ends up in a collection of some museum, you don't want the conservators there having to deal with the piece of shit mount that you did or had done. You want them to be able to just pull the print out of the frame and put it in the new one. That's kind of my thing. But yes, you can do mounts for silver, platinum, piezo, inkjet, you name it, that have no mat boards. You're just sacrificing something in doing that. Maybe that's not a big deal to you. Maybe it is. I don't like it. You can do whatever you want, and it will still look great. It's just for how long, right? So yeah, you can mount those bad boys. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Pete says he wants to set up a workshop. Pete, email me. There's also another separate video somewhere that talks about how to get in touch with me for workshops. The answer is email me. Email. Yeah. Tim Anderson found the YouTube channel. Welcome, Tim. Glad to have you, buddy. You should jump into that Discord too. Lots of people could use your wisdom there. We'd love to have you. So he says, reference to print size and appropriate viewing distance. The first thing a photographer will do when confronted with a 20-foot long print is put his nose 6 inches from it. And Tim, you're totally right. I see this all the time. In the gallery world, there's a standing joke about people who get photographer distance from artwork. And it's when you can tell this person's probably not buying art from your gallery, but they're curious about the process or the resolution or whether or not they could have done it better. And so they'll come into your gallery and just stick their face right up against the print, and they're kind of looking at it all cross-eyed like, oh yes, I can see you've printed this at 300 ppi. Yes, regular people who are interested in buying and enjoying art will stand a regular distance away from art. We actually have a video we're working on today about that, about viewing distance, resolution, print size. Check that out, but that'll come out later. Yes, that's a thing. Photographers, stop it. Stand a normal distance away and look at the photograph. Don't look at the grain or the pixelation or the paper texture. Come on, you're killing me. Granted, I'm guilty. I do it all the time. But it's my job, right? I make prints, so I have to. Oh, yeah, it looks great. So funny. David says, is there a reason labs don't offer raw or uncorrected scans? Can you do this? Yes, I'm happy to do that. So what happens when we scan film, your film gets run through our copy stand with the camera that we use to scan the film, and then we're scanning in RAW, right? So I have a RAW, in this case, either Olympus or Sony file. If you want to just say, hey, please give me my RAW scans, totally happy to do that. It doesn't cost any extra. I'm happy to give them to you as, what are those file formats? ORF is Olympus, and ARW would be Sony. No problem, happy to do that. Then we typically will run them through Negative Lab Pro, which does what it does, right? You do a base correction for the orange base of color film. Typically it's an orange base. And then you do a crop, and then you let Negative Lab Pro sort of do its thing. But if you want me to skip all that, I'm happy to just get the scans, put them in your Dropbox folder. You're ready to rock and roll. Just tell us when you place an order to have your film developed, just say, write a little note, say, hey, can I please get the raw scans, no Negative Lab Pro, or something like that. And we may email you or call you to be like, are you sure this is what you want? Because nobody else wants it. And that's the thing too, as a lab, my whole staff, we're into it. So we're shooting film, and then we get our scans done on the big camera, the Sony, and then we each take our scans like uncorrected, like don't touch them, I want to do my own thing, And so we take them and do our own, but most people want it cropped, and they want it inverted, and they want it to look as normal as the software can make it look, and then they don't do a damn thing. They don't edit, they don't crop, they just post it straight to Instagram, and then they forget about it and move on. They're not printing, they're not editing, whatever. And so there's this balance between the pros who are doing a lot of work to their files, and they want like a raw scan or a TIFF scan, whatever. We're happy to offer those for you. But most of the people who are shooting film and who we're developing for just want it easy and give me a JPEG, and I don't want to have to think about it. I've put out on our Instagram like stories or reels like, hey, do you guys want them cropped or uncropped? And I get enough people saying uncropped that we leave them uncropped so you can see a little bit of film border. But yeah, people want them inverted. I'm happy to do them raw for you. Raw dog it. Oh, AO, he's back. Are you able to process AGFA Scala? No, we do not do black and white reversal. It's hard. Black and white reversal, processing it as a positive. So you're shooting a black and white film, and what you get is a black and white slide. It's a positive image. You put it on your light table and you see the image. Super cool, huge sex appeal. I love looking at them, but the processing is difficult enough that we don't do it. There is a guy, and I'll link him in the comments or in the whatever description, who still does it. I think he's still operating. I sent him a roll like a while ago. It was kind of expensive and took kind of a long time, but he's still processing the black and white reversal. So there's a link to him below. Check it out. We can process that stuff as negatives, which you can then invert in the software of your choice. So you say, this roll contains the last pictures of my dad before he passed away. I can do it as negatives, and you'll get an image. It will probably be more grainy, and it won't be a positive, but it can be done. So yeah, it's just basically cross-process. So we can do that, just not as a positive. DR5 is the guy who's doing the reversal stuff, so check him out. Oh, we'll do this as a little teaser. It's not an FAQ, but there's going to be an analog symposium / conference. It's going to be in Durango, Colorado. It's going to be at the end of September 2022. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a bunch of analog film photo nerds hanging out, doing cool stuff. Colorado's gorgeous. Durango, I hear, may have changing leaves towards the end of September. So it'll be a bunch of photo nerds hanging out, photographing and chatting, and there will be like keynote talks, whatever. Don't have a full website, don't have anything we can share with you yet. I'm not putting it together. there's smarter people than me that are like putting this whole thing together, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be speaking at it. It's going to be fun. So just kind of keep an eye out. We'll probably do a full video on that when we learn all the details. But that's kind of a fun one. Blah, 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 blah. We have a glare coming from the poster behind me. Not anymore. We will do a background properly for this big white wall once I figure out what I want it to look like and what it'll be. But for now, we just took it down because it is kind of annoying. I agree with you. So now we've just got a big dumb white wall. And we are going to do more lab time stuff. That's coming. I'm actually recording one today, later, and it'll come out after this, also later. Yeah, I think that's good. That's the comments, that's the fact, and that's the old news. So we'll see you next week. We're trying to do one of these every week. So until next Saturday, I don't know, have a good weekend, have a good week, have a great life. Go take some pictures.